Dov'è Gandis? Jemut live sorry. Keso tubi. Jemut taibri depan. Hendo jagun jalza lui vali miri. Hendo jagun costas. Un toari vali sirio trikilsa. Jemut kiven jui depan. Unei siti veli velat. Un tari valotti.
So we have an incredible new intro that I have to say thank you to John/Joe/Joel/Juan. He has a lot of names now, but he made us a really, really fun intro. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure everyone's excited to see it.
Yes.
First order of business, birthday girl. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
How's quarantine birthday going?
Just the way it sounds. Boring, but making the most of it. Just, I still worked from home today and got some takeout and called it a day. So
that's the main thing, not having to cook. So
very true. I was like, I'm not cooking today.
I feel you on that. I've always been jealous of people with a springtime birthday because mine's at the very end of summer, and it's like, ugh, this stinks. There's nothing good about that.
But you will probably get to celebrate and go out for your birthday, so that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, if I ever went anywhere, that would probably be correct. But
you did go out today. You did go for a run.
Yes, you did.
I did. I went for my run. Big news on the show today. Is everyone very excited?
Yeah.
Yes. I've been running for about 6 years. I actually started, my son was diagnosed with autism when he was very young, and there was a sign up for a autism awareness 5K, and I said, you know what, I want to try to do that. And I literally started where they say, you run to one telephone pole, you stop, you walk a little, you run again, and just build it up from there. So for people who are worried, like, oh, 5K is too far, anyone can do it. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
excited for that. Yeah,
Yes,
very exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So Brandy, are you still in New York?
I leave tomorrow.
Okay. How's that been with the quarantine?
It's crazy. The city isn't as lively as, New York City usually is. But when I go out walking twice a day. I go out around lunchtime and then again at night after dinner. And the streets are still busy. There's still people out. There's still traffic. I mean, the only real difference I'm noticing is there's less people, and everything aside from like Target and pharmacies and stuff, everything is closed, and it's all just delivery.
Right.
But as far as people go, there's still people on the streets. It's still, busy. You're still running into people here and there. So
oh my goodness. See, I thought it was like if you're on the sidewalk, they were gonna like take you to jail. So
no,
Yeah.
not quite there yet.
And it's funny because I know that they recently had put out a suggestion to wear any sort of face covering in the city, whether it's a mask or a scarf. And it's funny because I will admit I have not been.
No, that's
But I'm
Same.
actually surprised that there's not a lot of people that are.
Yeah.
okay.
There are some, but not as many as I would expect. So it's
Mm.
different.
Oh, I see. Well, you got a little taste of the city life during the crisis, so you can say you survived, you lived to tell the tale. So
I
True.
did.
there you go. So far, anyway.
Yeah, so far.
I was impressed when we did the video this past weekend. The makeup video. I don't know what people are calling it. I called it
Yeah.
the makeup video.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, she went to New York City and still had like nice clothes, because I know if I were, it'd be all like, yoga pants and sweatshirts.
You are talking to somebody who I like to travel, and so anytime I do, I pack for any possible occasion. So I always have
Same.
an outfit for a night out. I pack, 4 pairs of shoes.
I
I
pack for,
don't
Oh, wow.
pack light.
I pack like for 5 days, even if I'm doing just an overnight, that
Oh,
kind of thing.
I go to my family's house in Boston or in South Shore, and I can go down for a weekend, and I have at least a suitcase and a tote bag along with my purse, and that's just
Oh,
for a
wow.
weekend. So
Okay, well, there you go. I don't travel much, so I don't have an opinion on this. No problem. So we have a few topics today, but I just have to handle a little bit of business, because I don't know if you guys watched the OG Minifan show
I did.
with Steve and TJ. My friends. Okay, I have to clarify. I was not asked to go on that show. I was asked to provide a flattering photo of myself, which I think I did. I mean, that's subject to opinion, but I was not asked. I would have definitely said yes to them. So I think I have a place on the OG show. I think I've put in enough time. But so Steve, don't go telling lies. I can't really be mad at him because he said I was a pretty young lady. So
There you
well,
go.
flattery will get you everywhere. But
Definitely.
I'm like, I just have to defend myself just a little bit.
Yes.
So we're handling that, and then again back to another show, the Menner's call-in show. Not this one he just did, but the one before.
Mhm.
He had a question for us because we had been talking face versus body. Apparently, that brings up a lot of sub questions.
Yes,
This
it
one
does.
I did not see coming, but we're going to address it because we were asked. He said, well, I have a pierced nipple, so how do you ladies feel about nipple piercings on a man? And I said, oh, all right. Well, I had a lot of questions first, like, why aren't we showing that? Come on. I think if you say you have a pierced nipple, you gotta whip it out. So if I had a pierced nipple, no, I'm just kidding.
You
I
may
don't.
not whip it out, but they would expect it. They would expect it.
It would be asked. Yeah.
Yeah. And they'd be looking for it too. Like they'd be looking at your shirt just to see if they
Yeah,
can.
just let's zone in more, please.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I was just thinking, okay, I have to know when did you get that done? And B, I always think of it as it has to be congruent to the rest of the personality. So is that fitting on him? And I would say, yeah, I think so. I don't have a problem with it. I wouldn't say my type would have body piercings, but I also wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. Tara, your thoughts?
I, honestly haven't heard about many men that do have it. So I would say that, hearing about this, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't, really know. Like, I mean, I guess I would have the same questions as far as like, oh, what made you want to get that? And I feel like it does fit his personality really well. I mean, I don't know him, but a lot of us don't know him that well. But from what we've seen, wouldn't be really a deal breaker for me either. Just find it interesting.
And is it a bar or is it a hoop? That I also have to know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Look at you,
Brandy.
FBI agent over here.
I actually talked with Menners last night and had this discussion with him.
Oh, did you call in?
He actually called me. And so
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But was this
snap.
live? Like, is this something I can go back and hear?
I think as far as I know, that show is dropping at 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just trying to
So
make sure I didn't miss something.
I did bring this up to him last night when we talked, and definitely not something for me, a
Mm.
piercing on a man. I
Okay.
can't say if it would be a deal breaker or not, to be completely honest. I guess it depends on where it is.
Mhm.
That might be a deal breaker, but not my typical type at all.
Sure. Now, I will also say, like, I was a teenager in what I would consider like the height of the piercing phase, like the late
Oh,
90s. And
Yeah.
I have a lot, like, almost every girlfriend that I have has their belly button pierced from their own garage with like a sewing needle. So I think I have a little like post traumatic stress of seeing some terrible outcomes of that.
mm,
Also, like I do medical billing, so unfortunately I always see the worst case scenarios and my first thought is like, oh, infection and
Yeah.
holes in your body, it's probably not not a good idea.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I pierced my ear once on my own.
yourself?
Yeah.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah. I did
Ugh.
Parent Trap style with like the ice cube and numbed it and took a safety pin. And yeah, it
A
was like my,
safety
Oh my goodness.
pin?
Oh.
yeah, it was like my third hole. And then I didn't do the other side. I don't know why. I guess I was just feeling rebellious one day. And yeah, I ended up letting it close. But yeah, it didn't bother me at all. I was just like, oh, I want to do this. And I did it. So
And I would also wonder with the nipple, are we doing it more for a looks or is there any kind of sensation that's coming
I
out of
think
that?
both.
Ugh.
I've heard. I don't have
Because
that.
I also would think immediately, see, I'm such a negative person, like I would fear it getting caught on something. So ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that happen to many people, and it's excruciating. And then I'm also thinking back
Well, you
to,
don't say.
so bringing back my conversation about breast milk,
And
breastfeeding.
we've gone full circle. Outstanding.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, I think it all worked out. So, but yeah, I mean, I wonder too if it's also trendy slash like, sensation wise. I don't know people personally that have it, but on the internet, everyone likes to show it off. So
Well,
share.
I think that it's our time to call Menners out then and tell him it needs to be shown off.
Yep.
Or one of us does it as a like for the show report back on the experience. So we'll draw
Hey.
straws or something.
Yeah. Rock,
Hey.
paper, scissors.
It's a
I mean,
tall order.
whenever the tattoo thing happens, if it's going to be at a place where you can get piercings too, maybe I'll go for it. So
All
There.
right. I went with back, like I said, late 90s, everyone was getting everything pierced. And I
yeah,
went with a friend of mine to get, I think he got both of them done. And I mean, I just sat there just like, oh no, that's not happening. That
Mm.
looks absolutely not like something I would be interested in. But like I said, I don't brush it off on someone else either. So
yeah, and everyone
uh,
has different pain tolerance too. Like same for
Exactly.
tattoos as well. Like tattoos don't bother me as far as like pain tolerance. So
so do you have tattoos, Tara?
yeah, I just have one. It's a heart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite singers, her album cover is that. So, and I want to get another one. So,
There you go.
so
So we are going to go over a couple other highlights of the week. Brandy, what did you want to discuss this week?
So, one thing that I picked up on, and I believe it was yesterday's show, and it was kind of just a quick thing on the show, but it kind of made me think. It was mentioned that during Mike's show, somebody had asked him if he had ever, accidentally brushed up against a woman or touched her breasts, and then used the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blind, ordeal. And so
Okay.
then it kind of triggered in my mind, like, at what point as a female would you accept that as an excuse for somebody, on the sidewalk or in the grocery store, touching your chest, somebody that you don't know that hasn't, you haven't had a conversation with or anything, because there are a lot of people out there that not just blind, but there's a lot of mentally disabled or mentally challenged people as well that you may run into, and they may, touch you. And so it kind of brought up, in my mind, like, at what point do you kind of brush it off like they don't know any better, or they didn't mean to, as opposed to that's just an excuse and you're being a disgusting man.
Okay, that is interesting, and I have to admit I have thought that before, because I didn't encounter the situation in a grocery store, but I almost did, and I was a fan of Blind Mike's at the time, and I said, oh, that would almost be, and I thought of it as a funny question at the time, but apparently, obviously, if someone's in that situation, probably not so funny.
Right.
What's your takeaway on it, Brandy? I'm pretty patient with this kind of stuff. Like, it takes a lot to get me offended. So
Yeah.
And that's where I come from too. It takes a lot to get me offended. And I feel like in a situation like that, you would be able to tell if the person was being genuine
Yep.
about their mistake, or if they were just being, a raunchy person.
Trying to get handsy. Yeah.
Right. And I worked previously in the medical field. I did home care as well as working with, adults with mental disabilities. So I kind of have a better understanding as well, and I have that patience. But I know, just from being in the world, there are people out there that would probably quickly lose it on somebody
Of course.
who didn't mean to do what they did.
Tara?
I agree. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I understand, especially, I mean, I've worked with quite a few different populations who I could probably tell, where they're at. And I think I understand that some people can't, but I mean, for me, I would probably be able to tell what their motive is, or if there isn't a motive, as far as, okay, they really don't understand what's going on. I mean, I know a lot of people who have some type of developmental disability might not understand boundaries. And I feel like that's something across the board, with a lot of different types of stuff along those lines. So I think for me, I would be a little more understanding, but I know a lot of people now are just like, okay, you did this, you did that. Like, they're very quick to jump on them for all that stuff. So
Sure. And I mean, sometimes I feel like in our society these days, you can't even say like, "Oh, I like your sweater." It's like,
yeah,
okay, everyone, relax. It's fine. It's okay.
like, I don't
Yes.
mind a compliment. I think that people, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think people get a little, over the top here with compliments. Like, are we not supposed to compliment people anymore? Like, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Brandy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually a very opinionated person, and I don't have a filter, so I tend to be more vocal than most sometimes, whether it's good or bad. But I
Mhm.
do find myself more so, taking a step back sometimes and being like, "Oh, wait, should I say that? Like, how's this person going to take it?" I'm just joking around, I'm trying to be funny, but are they going to be offended by that? And I have to say, I honestly find myself doing that in the Twitter world. I type out a tweet and then I'm like, oh, who's going to find this offensive? And it's so much harder to defend yourself through the internet than in person. So I'm more apt to delete that tweet than if it were something I was going to say in person, and I would just go ahead with it and take my chance.
Yeah, because if you're going to get stuck having to explain it 15 responses later, it's like, okay, this was not worth the point I was trying to make, that
Exactly.
everyone knew what I was saying, but they just had to nitpick at me. Yeah, I understand that. I also think, like, in person for me, if someone were to, I don't want to say offend me, because like I said, I don't get offended really easy, but if someone kind of rubs me the wrong way, I will make a joke, and it's one of those jokes where I'm serious, but I'm delivering this to you very lightly. So that's how I try to handle situations like that, because I really am just non-confrontational. So this reminded me, it's not quite on the same topic, but does anyone watch 90 Day Fiance? It's my favorite
No.
TV show. No. So what it is someone lives in one country and there's an American, and they meet usually online, and it's about them meeting for the first time. So they had the first lesbian couple this season. So,
Wow.
great. Wonderful. So the girls get together, and on their second date, the girl takes her to this. It was making a mold of your breasts. So she's like, this is a topless experiment or whatever. And the internet was saying, well, if a guy took a woman on this as a first date, wouldn't we be calling this sexual harassment? And I said, well, I see what people are saying here, but I thought it was an interesting point anyway. It made for good conversation on one of the podcasts that I listened to, because I said, yeah, if I went on a date with a guy and it's like, oh, we're doing topless activity, that might be like, oh, that's a lot.
It's very bold.
Yeah, it goes with the nipple piercing and the breastfeeding. It's a boob-centric episode.
Yeah, why not?
You can't stay away.
Oh man. So but back to the whole blind Mike. I think he reacted, and I'm surprised he isn't asked that a lot, because he kind of reacted too. Like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I would never do that.
I know. It's almost surprising that it didn't even seem to, like, it was something that's ever crossed his mind either. Like, what if I were to do this on accident? How would somebody react? He just seemed very taken aback by it.
Yeah. Well, and it almost fits right in with, like, if you're at a busy club and a guy, he doesn't need to brush that close when he's walking by, but he pretends like it,
Right.
We all know these moves. Come on.
Yes.
Through that. So, Tara, what did you want to discuss from the show this week?
Well, this is kind of something that I've just observed for a while since I've been into the community. Just the way Kirk discusses celebrities and his take on, how they're prima donnas, and especially during this quarantine. And it's like, anytime a celebrity's trending, it's like, okay, everyone's checking on them to make sure that they're alive, and like all this stuff. Like Mike said something about Betty White, like everyone's, making sure that she's okay. Like, she's 98. Like, I don't know what would happen. Would your life really be impacted if they were gone? You know what I mean? So it's like a very interesting discussion, because in my, I guess, generation, or just, I'm a fan of a lot of different artists and groups, and I have friends who idolize a lot of people to the point of like getting very emotional about them. And, I understand, like, they have good music, or they, whatever it is, a lot of people look up to these celebrities and, have helped them through a lot of hard times. But it's just like, okay, we're coming to the point where, every little thing about them, or you kind of like, are so distraught over certain things about their life. It's like, you don't really know them on that level. So I just find it interesting, the way that Kirk talks about it, and we kind of have that same like mindset about it. And I just notice other things as far as my friends and my other fandom communities. Something else that I wanted to bring up was on the OG show, Steve was saying how transparent Kirk, Steve, and Mike are with all of us, and how they give so much, and the way that they interact with us is something that I would never see within the fan communities that I'm also a part of. I mean, I don't know if it's because, Kirk's pretty well known across the country and around the world, it seems. So, I mean, obviously he doesn't have the same following as Beyonce or something, but he still takes the time to, check in on people, interact. And I think that's something that I'm so appreciative of, because my favorite artists and bands would never like talk to me or like spend time like doing Q&As or AMAs and stuff like that, or like let alone be on the YouTube channel,
Sure.
So I think that's really something great. And I think just coming from a place where a lot of people try to get celebrities to say happy birthday to them, or
I saw you working that today. I saw it
a few times. Yes.
But yeah, like the Wilbur show, when Kirk does his meet and greet and it's like super fast, that's typically what a meet and greet is. You know what I mean? Like, I've met a few celebrities and it's like, hi, bye, take a picture, whatever. It's very different from, you know, Madawaska and the way, you know, that was handled. Like, you had more time to talk and it was more of like a hangout type of environment. So I think I just really appreciate that. And it's just refreshing and different from what I'm used to. So it's something that I've observed. And
yeah, and I think the relatability is one of the things that makes this community what it is.
right.
One of the first things that really I was just like, oh, I really like what this guy is saying with Kirk was back in the EI days when
Yeah.
they used to talk about Tom Brady,
Mm.
and he would actually say, like, look, yeah, he's a good athlete, but I'm not buying into all of this garbage about, oh, if I eat this, I'm going to throw a football better.
Right.
And that I was like, oh my gosh, this is speaking my language, because the last thing I need is someone like Giselle, you know, lecturing me on what I should be eating while I'm pregnant, because guess
Right.
what? I have to go sit at a desk all day. So I don't want to hear it.
And
Or
they
I
have,
don't want to
right. And she has
I don't
no
want to read a
knowledge.
magazine about why I should have self-esteem because Giselle does. Like, okay, I don't have 5 million people telling me I'm beautiful
Right.
every day, and I don't have endless amount of money. So these are things that, and yes, I'm very cynical, and that's how I sound, and I don't care, because that's how Kirk to me sounds as well. And I say,
Yeah.
oh, that is just refreshing. Like, he'll talk about being a parent in a very realistic manner,
Right.
because that's how he lives. So it seems. So
Yeah.
I think that's the difference here. And I've never really been like, I tried to think of another celebrity that I've been like really into, and I can't think of anybody. So I don't have much of an opinion on what other celebrity fan bases are like. Brandy, do you have any?
I don't. I don't have any other fan bases that I'm really into. I don't listen to radio a lot, or music. Usually, you know, if I'm cleaning or something, I have the podcast going, or if I'm caught up there, I've got even one of the YouTube shows I'll kind of play in the background because I can listen to it. I don't have to be able to see it. So
Sure.
I don't have experience with another fan base, but I definitely agree with you that Kirk is more relatable than the most that I have seen, you know, just through
Yeah.
the internet. You know, he's more down to earth. He actually, you know, seems like, you know, a regular person like you or I, and versus
Right.
a celebrity, which makes it comforting, and makes it easier to kind of talk to and relate to.
Right.
And
And I,
here I have to wonder, like, I don't know who else you're really like really into, but do you have like another community of where you go into something like a Discord and talk to people who are fans of someone else? Does that even exist?
no, I mean, the kind of communities, I mean, I'm all into the boy band type of thing.
Okay.
And I made a lot of friends through those communities. So I usually text, or there are a lot of them are just on Twitter now. And, you know, people, instead of parody accounts, it's like, I mean, I guess it's the same like fan accounts, but people my age and younger make fan accounts of like Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande, stuff like that, and just like dedicate their pages to them. So it's similar to this community, except I think there's just different names for it. So for me, like before I kind of got involved with all of this, like back in the day, I've had a million different Twitter names for like the Jonas Brothers or something. And I would make friends with people at concerts and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I built friendships with those communities. It's not really like a Discord type of thing or different forums along those lines, but similar idea of kind of getting together and, you know, before concerts or before any kind of event, people will meet up and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of similar and different as well.
It must be hard though to have material to talk to them every day, because like the Jonas Brothers aren't communicating to you guys, correct?
Well, I would say that, I mean, they are on social media, they do videos and stuff like that. It's not like they do podcasts or anything, but it is a lot different as far as that transparency. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, none of them are going to DM me or like just talk to me. Like I've met them because
she's gonna leave us high and dry when that happens, Brandy.
Yeah. If it hasn't happened already, it's not going to happen. Out of my 11 or 12 years of being a fan of them. But yeah, so it's just it's harder to get their attention, I would say. And you know, they, especially with other artists that I'm fans of, it's like they don't, I mean, they have millions of followers and they do their own thing and they follow some fans and they don't, you know, it
oh my goodness, this sounds consuming. Go ahead, Brandy.
It must be tough too, because like we've said before, Kirk is very interactive with his fan base, you know, with the live shows and the ice fishing and those sort of things. Whereas, you know, if you go to a concert, you're not going to get that one-on-one photo op with them, or you know, any of that, or
unless you pay a lot of money.
Exactly.
I mean, I've won meet and greets and I've never really paid a lot. And that's the other thing too, like for the Wilbur show, Kirk wasn't charging a few $100 to $1,000 to meet him. You know what I mean? And even if someday he does get as popular as Beyonce, which I'm sure he will, he's not going to
that's going to get played on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to eat it all up. He's going to eat it all up.
Tomorrow we'll be doing a sing along with Kirk to a Beyonce song instead of a Bruce song.
Yeah. He loves it though. He loves it. So yeah, I mean, people charge an arm and a leg, and I'm sure maybe he can probably relate to this because of Bruce. Like he's seen Bruce a million times, just kind of like I've seen a few artists, you know, multiple times. So maybe, you know, he kind of, I'm wondering what his thought would be about this as well, as far as like, you know, I don't know if he ever really wanted to get Bruce's attention. I'm sure, you know, who wouldn't at that point if it's someone that you really like, you know? So yeah, it's also kind of, it's hard to keep up with a lot of different things as well.
That was going to be my next question. How consuming is this? Because if you said to me, like, I cannot think of another person I would be this into, that I would, you know, put all my time into it. But doing this times 2 is impossible.
Doing this times 1 sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have friends who are fans of like 5 different people who go to multiple shows of theirs, you know, is always updated on everything. And, you know, I'm kind of able to consume a little here and there. I would say that this is the community that I'm most consumed because of the fact that, one, I'm involved to some extent, and 2, you know, it's easier, I guess, to consume all of this than to, you know, do all the other stuff. Plus,
it's better, Tara. It's better.
It is.
Better. And just the fact that there aren't any concerts going on right now. I mean, I didn't have many planned anyway this year, but that's the whole other thing. There's only so much you can do in that kind of community versus this, I will say.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know, there's like 20 songs. I'm not sure what else there would be, but this is probably just me not being into music, really. I don't think I've been to a concert in 15 years, but I don't, it's people-y. It's too many people.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, and everyone, like, there's some people that are just like more movie people than, you know, music people or TV people, or they just do their own thing. You know, I've been exposed to concerts since I was 8, so it's just like a music. I just, that's my thing.
Now, how have you been around the country, or do you usually stick to pretty local stuff?
Well, the furthest I've gone is Paris to see the Backstreet Boys. I've gone to California to see them as well. Last year when I saw the Jonas Brothers, I went to Hershey. There was one year I saw them 6 days within a week, and went to New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
What's your job?
I worked at a supermarket then. I don't know how I did it. I mean, then I didn't have as many responsibilities as I do now. Now I'm more of like the nosebleeds. Unless it's somebody that I really like, I'll pay to be up front. But yeah, I mean, I will say some of it's funded by my amazing aunt, who was the person who got me into concerts. So it's like, you know, like,
shout out to the aunt for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and
Brandy, are you a concert goer? I don't want to leave you out of the conversation.
No, that's okay. I was actually going to say, you know, when you had mentioned the last time you had been to a concert, I don't know that I can remember the last time that I've been to a concert. I don't know that I remember the last time I've really listened to music. So it's tough because, you know, I have nieces and nephews that are in their teens, and when they're, you know, talking about songs and they've got music on, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. Never heard it.
Oh my gosh, on that Hammer episode where they were playing music, zero. Never heard any of those songs before.
Me too. I'm
and of course I dropped the old lady line. I'm like, all this music sounds exactly the same.
Oh my goodness, I thought the same thing. I was like, wait,
my
is
age
this
is
the same song
definitely
they already played?
like I am such a child. No, just kidding.
Plus, what are we talking about? We don't need concerts. Kirk sang some Gordon Lightfoot. Was it yesterday?
Yes.
Yes. In fact, when he tweeted out there will be a new show tradition, I was like, oh my gosh, if it's singing Gordon Lightfoot every single day, I'm going to be so happy. I doubt that's what it is, but a girl can dream.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I think anytime these things, it's like a birthday gift.
Oh, well, I know. Tara gets the birthday shout outs and the engagement here. So
I know.
She's living large.
We just need that Wilbur wedding.
I know. Now that it's pushed back, that'll give us more time to plan.
Well, and I'm kind of glad for Kirk's sake because, you know, you've mentioned the meet and greet, and I'm really hoping that we have hand sanitizer back in stock for him for the meet and greet, because that might be devastating on his end.
He's gonna say meet and greet does not say, you know, any form of touching.
No
so
touching.
It's a wave from across the room.
Yeah, like just kind of like him and his like therapy session.
Yes.
The table.
Social distancing.
Oh gosh. Well, we'll see. I think they're still working on. I don't think they've announced the rescheduled date yet. But I mean,
no.
I can't think of one thing that would make me go, oh yeah, that day isn't going to work for me. So
no,
I'm going.
There definitely isn't. Ticket is bought. I'm going. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah. And for I understand some people it's extremely difficult. If it were on a Wednesday, I would take 2 days off of work and make it happen.
Exactly.
But that's just me, so I can't speak for everyone.
Right.
Well, I think we're good here. Look at us. We just jabbered on and time flew by.
I love it. Love it.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week then.
Yes.
All right,
have a good
sounds
night.
good. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.